Peter Griffin is a lot of things. A husband, a father, a brewery employee who somehow still has a job. But above all else, Peter Griffin is a man who has absolutely no business being a free citizen. This guy has been arrested, detained, handcuffed, and thrown in the back of a police car more times than most actual criminals. And today we are going through every single time the law finally caught up with him. Buckle up because this list is longer than it has any right to be. We start with Peter burning down the drunken clown. Now, to be fair, the show tries to make this a mystery at first. Who burned it down? Could be anyone. They even put out an artist depiction of the suspect on the news. And somehow, Peter Griffin did not immediately recognize himself on television. The man saw a drawing of a fat guy with glasses and thought nothing of it. The police showed up, kicked in the door, and Peter's own neighbors were standing outside rooting for them to beat him up. His wife is standing there in shock. The news reporter is live on scene, and Peter is going full dead weight on the ground, making them drag him. This is not a man who respects the legal system. This is a man who treats getting arrested like a minor inconvenience, like a traffic jam or a broken vending machine. And speaking of not respecting the legal system, the next clip is Peter getting booked at the police station and deciding that this is actually the perfect time to do a dramatic reading of Mice and Men. Not just any reading either. He announces it like he is hosting a literary event, while being processed, in handcuffs. He gets to the part where he reads his rights and just goes completely off script and tells the officers to eat a specific part of his body. They break his nose, and Peter acts surprised. Sir, you are in a police station. The nose breaking was the most predictable outcome of that situation, and Peter Griffin did not see it coming at all. Then we have the shoplifting arrest, which might be the most Peter Griffin arrest in the history of Peter Griffin arrests. The man was not stealing anything valuable. He was not running a heist. He got caught because the store security camera filmed him checking his height against the door sticker. That is the crime. He was measuring himself against a sticker on the door at night, in secret, because he was worried he was shrinking. And when the officer tells him that is how they found him, Peter does not even argue. He just immediately asks if they are going to measure him again at the jail. He is under arrest and his only concern is getting an accurate height measurement. This man's priorities are something that scientists should be studying. Now we have the clip where Peter entertains prison inmates. And this one tells us something very important. This is not Peter's first time in prison. He is already so comfortable in there that he has developed a whole routine. He is doing Callus, my milkshake, for inmates who are demanding encores. And Peter is negotiating like a tired performer after a long show. The fact that the inmates love it so much they keep requesting it tells you that Peter's entertainment career peaked behind bars. He could not make it as a TV star, but he absolutely crushed it in the prison circuit. The cream soda clip is short, but it tells you everything. Brian drank Peter's cream soda, and Peter's immediate response is to get in the car, say nothing, and then at the first opportunity pull over and step out with what appears to be a gun, saying leave the gun, take the cream soda. This is a Godfather reference. Peter Griffin made a Godfather reference over cream soda. This man escalated a beverage dispute to mob movie levels, and the energy of that moment is deeply criminal, and it absolutely belongs on this list. The speeding clip is beautiful because of how quickly it goes wrong. Peter gets pulled over, and the officer asks him to put his shirt down. Not step out of the car. Not show his license. Put his shirt down. Meaning Peter was driving around with his shirt up, just up, for no reason, on a public road. And the moment the cop turns out to be serious, Peter's whole face drops. He had clearly been counting on getting a lenient officer. He was not counting on the one cop in Rhode Island who was not going to let the shirt thing slide. The drunk driving clip might be the most honest thing Peter has ever said in his life. Lois tells him not to drink too much because he is driving them all home. And Peter says he has figured out exactly how many beers he can drink and still drive. 7. Then immediately corrects himself to 6. Out loud, in front of his wife. The man did field research on this. He ran experiments. He landed on a number, and then revised that number downward in real time. This is not a man who should have a license. This is a man who treats drunk driving like a math problem he is still working through. The bachelor party clip ties everything together perfectly. Joe is drunk, gives Peter his keys. Peter is drunk, gives Joe his keys. Both of them look at each other and declare that they are both good to drive now. The logic being that since they both handed over keys, they are somehow sober. Then a cop pulls Peter over immediately, asks if he has been drinking, and Peter says yes, officer. He had a glass of dinner with his wine. A glass of dinner with his wine. The officer just tells him to step out of the car. Peter walks a straight line and somehow passes. The cop sends him back out onto the road wishing him safety because there are a lot of crazies out there tonight. Peter Griffin passed a sobriety test on Pure Vibes and Rhode Island. Let him drive home. The Wild West campaign clip ends with something nobody was ready for. Peter, completely unprompted, while shaking hands and trying to make peace with the new mayor, casually apologizes for trying to destroy his reputation by burning down a library. He just says it in front of witnesses. No lawyer, no filter. Full confession to arson of a public building as a peace offering handshake. Wild West just kind of accepts it and moves on, which is somehow even more unhinged than the confession itself. The Cleveland traffic stop is a masterpiece of Peter logic. He pulls Cleveland over just so they can have a private conversation without Lois finding out. Cleveland is in civilian clothes. Peter asks him to step out of the car. Cleveland says there has got to be a better way. Peter pulls a knife because he says it needs to be authentic. Then the other cops show up and join in because they think it is a real stop. Peter has manufactured an entire fake traffic incident, armed himself, and dragged his best friend into it, all to have a private conversation. This is not a crime that has a name yet because nobody has ever done it before. And finally, the Police Academy arc, which is the crown jewel of Peter's law enforcement history. Peter becomes an actual cop, goes through the academy, graduates, gets a badge, and immediately uses his police powers to monitor his wife's egg cooking technique. He hits Lois with a police baton by accident in the kitchen. He sits watching television while on duty, and when Meg kidnaps Brian, ties him up and puts him in a trunk. Chris watches the whole thing and says nothing for 3 days because Peter has been too buried in paperwork. Peter Griffin became a law enforcement officer and made the crime rate worse. Not because he was corrupt, just because he is Peter Griffin and Coase follows him into every single profession he enters. So after going through all of this, the real question is not how many times Peter has been arrested. The real question is how he keeps getting out. This man has been arrested for arson twice, shoplifting, drunk driving multiple times, impersonating an officer, and confessing to burning down a library on what was essentially live television. And he is still out here, still free, still driving with his shirt up. Rhode Island's justice system clearly has bigger problems than Peter Griffin, which, when you think about it, is actually the most terrifying conclusion we could have reached today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button because it really does help more than you think. Drop in the comments which Peter arrest you think was the most unhinged, and subscribe if you want more Family Guy content just like this. We will see you in the next one.